Hello, 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 Crafty Chris here for another Thursday night Scrap Your Scraps. Tonight is going to be kind of an interesting night. We're not scrapping paper, but we're scrapping leftover materials. So like I had these little bits of ribbon, canvas ribbon that I don't know, I probably got them all for $1 or something silly. I have a tendency to shop for things I don't really know what I'm going to do with, but they're kind of cool. So I grabbed these, and I've probably had them now, got to say, about maybe 5 years, maybe more, don't know. Got them in the States, nice and cheap. Anyway, so I've been working on a junk journal, and I needed a cover for my junk journal. So this is like the front cover of my junk journal. And so I decided I was going to use up this stuff to cover my junk journal. So I'll just show you where I'm heading with this. This is the back page of my junk journal, my cover of my junk journal. And I've got a couple of interesting things on it. I have the canvas, which I'm going to walk through how I did it, but I have it all pre-cut here. And I got this metal. I'm sure it's supposed to be decor for furnishings or something. Anyway, it makes a great finished edge on my junk journal. It kind of makes it kind of funky looking. And I have had different kinds of covers on my junk journal. Some of them are folk crafty, others are junk journaly, and this one is going to be kind of, what would I call this? I would probably call this a little more mainstream, a little bit more tailored, I guess. So anyway, I want to cover up my junk journal. So what I've done is my junk journal page, I'm just going to lift my corner here so I can measure it. My junk journal page cover measures 6 by 8 1/4, and what I've done is I've cut pieces 12 inches long so that they will start where my signatures go in and wrap around the front and then finish along the spine here. And then of course I have to repunch the holes for the thread to hold it all together. But so that's the plan. And when I laid them out, orange being in the center, I went kind of light to dark sort of thing, I realized that they were not big enough to cover the whole surface, which is why I brought this in. And this was kind of a great finishing touch, but there's some pros and cons to this. So let me go ahead and show you how I managed to put this together. So I used a product called 450 quick dry adhesive for the cloth, and it seemed to hold things down quite nicely, and it dries fairly quickly, and it's very tacky, so I don't have to really worry too much about how long how long I have to wait between applying and positioning. Now I just want to kind of get an idea that these guys are going to be sort of in the same area so that they don't look too weird when they are aligned. So I've got this kind of central, and just in and around, I have to push this down. It's so thick it takes such a long time to get down. There we go. So I'm just going to push this around the hole and in the area where the cloth is. And I'm going to pull it back just a little bit. Double check my alignment isn't too far off. And shift it up just a little. Okay, and then I'm just going to fold this edge over. There we go. And I'm not stretching it. I'm trying not to stretch it, actually. I want it to kind of lay on its own. If you stretch it, you can get it all sort of like out of sync with the weave. That looks good. So I'm just going to pull from behind here to tighten it, and it's already stuck. So then I turn over, and I don't really care if this edge and, well, I guess I do kind of care if this edge and that edge match, so I better not say I don't care. So I'm guiding, sort of trying to center so that it comes in the same area as the back side, because when it all goes together you don't want it to be too wonky. And I'm just putting, I don't really need a lot, surprisingly, just enough to keep it tacked down. Going to pull it over, line it up where that white is, just flatten it down, draw my hand over it. I'm not stretching it. Okay, and that looks a little bit crooked to me, which probably could be. So I'm just going to lift it up a little. Seems to have shifted at the bottom edge. There we go. That looks better. All right, it's already stuck down. And I'm going to go along the back and do the same thing. And of course I'm going to line it up with this side. This 450 glue is really good for projects like this. Line it up with this side. And I want to make sure it's nice and flat. Seems to have some weave variation on the inside here. And then I'm going to tuck this piece underneath. So I'm going to go into my little pocket and I'm going to just put some glue on the back side of the fabric this time and fold it over. There we go. And that's it. It's done. So it's not, it doesn't take forever to do this. All right, so let's do the next color. And even if you have kinks in your ribbon, it doesn't seem to be a problem. It seems to manage those kinks very well. Which side is the right side? I have no idea. I don't even think it matters. Okay, so we're going to make sure, whoops, have enough fabric. Okay. Put some glue down. Fold it over. And I want to butt it right up to the edge of that first fabric. Okay. And then I'm going to make sure I'm butting all the way when I'm stretching this out. So again, around the holes, on the edge here. And I'm going to put a special little line right up between the two. And I'm going to pull this tight so it butts up right against the first fabric. Alrighty, so now we have almost 2 layers done. Same on the back side, right up against the fabric. Put a nice line of sticky there. And pulling this over. This one seems to be sort of, its bias is kind of wonky. So it just keeps wanting to pull to a different side. Okay. Push that down. Open up the flap. Glue on the back side of the fabric. whoops, want to make sure you don't glue your flap shut. And pop that over. There we go. And that's the second stripe done, and now we'll do the last stripe, which is going to be the bottoms. Oh, I did that out of order. Okay, so did that in the wrong order. Can I take it apart? Do I care to take it apart? Yes, I do. So, nice enough. The 450 glue takes about 12 hours to be solidly glued down, which is lucky for me in this case, because now I can just take this apart and start again. On the bottom, because this is the top of the journal. Aren't you glad you get to see all my mess ups? Alright, so we're doing this again. Just on the tip. And we're going to fold that in. Make sure it's nice and flat. And we're going to put our glue down here again. And right along that edge. And along the edge, I think it's going to be up here. And just a fair smattering of glue. And now pushing it down so that it butts right up against that one. There, that's better. Okay, flipping it over, putting glue right along the edge. Now, how long will this last? I have no idea. Okay. Really don't know how long it'll last, but I'm willing to take that chance because it's kind of cool. Alright, and now, make sure I haven't got any glue there sticking my pocket down. Put the glue on the inside. Tuck it under. There we go. So, repaired that pretty quickly. Luckily, it doesn't dry super permanent right away. That could have been an issue for me. Okay, now I'm just going to do this side again. Now, you're probably going to get all clumped up with fabric and whatnot. It's probably a good idea to clear it off so that you don't get bulgy things happening. Now, I want this to be a little bit longer. There we go. This is a bit too long, so I'm just going to snip off this extra bit. And you should have good scissors. These are my metal cutting scissors. So they're going to be kind of messy cutting fabric, but it worked. That's all that matters. Okay. And now we're going to do this side. I'm going to clean the tip of this. Get all the excess fabric off. Make sure all the glue gets into the head again, because the bottle itself is a little tricky. You can get these in bigger size bottles, and the bigger the bottle, the easier it is to actually push the glue out, because the plastic itself in the container is very stiff, and so the less of it you have, the stiffer it is. So pushing it becomes difficult when you have the smaller versions. Putting that right up. All right. Looks good. And flipping it over. Right along that edge. All right. Oops, I need to pull a little bit more this way so I have something to tuck under. Went a little shy on this piece, so 12 inches is really what you need with all the wraps on the corners and whatnot. Make sure you're not sticking the pocket to itself. Get all that glue out of there. Any excess glue you have, this is the kind of glue that rubs off in little like rubbery bits of stuff. So if you have extra glue, you just rub your finger on it and it'll pull all that off. Just make sure you're not letting it dry permanently while it's still stuck to the pocket, because you want your pocket to be free and open so you can slip your signatures in there. Alrighty, so that's the beginning part of it, and then what you want to do is rub your hands off, because they're probably covered in glue at this point, because you don't want to get extra glue on the metal stripping. Now with the metal stripping, I actually do a dry fold around the book before I cut, just because with it going over the edge of books, it actually adds a fair bit into the measurement of the piece that we're going to use to finish off the edges. So, and it's the other thing you want to do is just go slightly over the edge of your table to straighten it out. You see how that straightens it out? Don't press too hard, because you don't want to flatten the actual pattern, because this is like embossed. Okay, so I'm going to dry fit this. Let me get that out of the way so I don't ruin that. Whew. Doesn't particularly cooperate. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a fold in the top. So I'm going to make it about a ½ inch, and I'm going to take my pliers, and I just have this I guess like a jewelry tool or something, and it has a nice edge which helps me to fold the metal. Okay, so with my tool and my pliers I was able to fold the metal. So now I've got like this little hook that I can hook my book into, but it's a little too small. So we're going to try that again. Actually, I'm just going to do it right on the book so I have a sense. But you can see how doing it right on the book is not effective either. So see where it has to bend. I am now going to put pressure on it and fold it up. Sometimes you need to fold the corner a little bit more. There we go. So, and you will have to straighten it, and remember that metal is sharp. So you can poke and cut yourself if you're not careful. You want to make sure that you're using your tools as much as possible so you don't hurt yourself. Okay, so that was a tiny bit of struggle, but there you go. Finally got it. So that will fit in there. This will go around there. And I'll need to bend somewhere around here. And then this whole thing will come back this way. Making sure I'm bending. And then I get my metal scissors and I cut where I think that's going to end, more or less. If it's a little short or a little long, it won't matter. It's on the inside. What you do want is for the front to look finished. Okay, so now we glue this down in the same way that we glued the other thing down, the fabric down, but we just want to make sure that our corners are lining up. So I just double folded that so it's nice and stiff, and I'm going to put glue right on here. Again, I gotta wait for the glue to get into the head. There we go. And it's going to overlap the fabric, so I want to make sure I've got a good bit of glue on the fabric. And again, I can always rub off when I have too much. Alright, so I'm going to line that up with the top of the book on both sides. Push it right in. There we go. Give that a little squeeze. And just hold that for a moment. Now, it is a little trickier. I'm opening it up again. It is a little trickier than using fabric because it will move around, so you got to move a little bit quicker when you're doing your gluing. So you want lots of glue, and along the fabric, you want a nice bead of glue. And you want lots of glue where the paper is because it's going to lie, it's going to have an open spot because the fabric is thicker than the paper. And I'm going to line that up again. There we go. Put some pressure down on there. There we go. Now, this is not holding. Sometimes it holds perfectly, other times it does not. So we are going to grab a clip, any old clip, and just hold that together. And now I'm going to make sure I have good fold over on this side, flatten it out a little bit so we don't have a problem when we're putting it down. That might be a bit long, so I can trim that off. And again, I'm going to do my gluing. Fair bit on the fabric. And a whack of stuff here. And flatten it out. There we go. Flatten that corner with my tool. And clip that, flatten that corner. And now just to make sure everything sticks together, I am going to keep the clip on this corner because it seems to want to puff up. And I'm going to put another clip here just until it seals itself. And here's another clip. Ooh. There we go. And I do want to, again, flatten this corner. All right. So there we go. Now I'm just going to leave that for a minute, but I'm going to show you what needs to happen. Once you've got your pieces put on your page, the edges of the metal can be very, very sharp. So what I've done to eliminate that problem is I've taken some glossy accents or liquid whatever, and I've just gone along that edge and filled in the hole and filled any gaps so that the edge is actually smooth when you touch it. You cannot feel the sharpness of the metal because I have filled in the gaps and raised the glossy accents above the edge of the gap. So I can run my finger along here without any worry of cutting myself because that glossy accents has given like that little rounded bubble shape. So I'm just going to leave that to the side, and you may find that your glossy accents slides over. If you've put too much in, then you just take your finger along the edge of the metal and just wipe it away. That's it. And you let it dry, or you can heat dry it. That will get it going a little bit quicker. Okay, this will be fine, and by the time I'm done this side, that'll be fine as well. So I'm going to start again with my 1/2 inch bend. There we go. So there's my 1/2 inch bend. Might be a little under 1/2 inch, but that's okay. Hook that on my book. It's a little short. I'm not going to worry about it. It's at the spine. And then this is where I'm going to do my next fold. So I've marked it with my, okay, so it's going to fold there. And I'm going to need a little bit more. So I'm going to push this through. And this is how I keep this from going all wonky, is I just keep it on with a little zip tie on one end. Okay, so that now needs to fold in half. Get a nice fold on there. Okay. Slip all that back on the book. There we go. on the book. Comes to there, and get my scissors. I can see where I need to cut it, and cut it as straight an edge as possible. And then this, I'm done with this now, so I just tuck it back under its little zip tie, and we're good to throw that back in the container. Now these I'm finished with as well, so they go back in the container, and because I've played with them a little bit, I have a muscle memory of some of the things I can already do with this, and so that gives me ideas when I'm moving forward in my junk journals and my anything else that I happen to be crafting with. So I'm going to start with this side again. Sorry, junked up. It's best to keep these lying on their side as much as possible. If it's humid, you may find that it spills out, but that's okay. You can use whatever spilled out on the bottom of your stuff as well. And I think I need just a little more here. All right. So, closing that up, making sure I'm lined up. I'm going to take that clip because it looks good on that side. Just going to clip this side for a minute. I'm going to make sure I'm not. There we go. Make sure it's nice and straight. Oh, I can't do that because I've got to put the glue down on this side. So again, nice big bead across where the fabric is. Lots of glue along the edge. And fold it down. And now I'm going to clip this so it stays in one place. And now glue the final edge. Whoops. And push that down right on top of there. I have excess glue I'm noticing here. Not a problem. Just wipe it off. Roll it in your fingers. It becomes little balls of glue that roll off your fingers. Okay, now I'm going to take this, move it to this side, this, move it to this side, and now that seems to want to pop up. Okay, so I'm just going to hold it for a minute more. And then I'm going to put the adhesive, or not the adhesive, the glossy accents in there. And I do 2 layers. So I start with 1 layer because that fills all the gaps. So I'll show you what I'm doing. That fills all the gaps. And for some reason I got it. It's not coming out. I think it's got something in it. Oh yeah, there it goes. There we go. And I missed here, so I'm just going to add some more there. Now, I rub along this line, rub along the back, and make sure that everything's touching. I have to hold it there because for some reason it is just not cooperating, does not want to stay shut. And I think I'm going to heat dry that just a little. So let me get my grabber. There we go. This little grabber is funny looking, but it's awesome because it allows you to hold things that you're heat drying, and it doesn't, the grabber itself doesn't heat up, and it helps you with holding on to things that get hot. So I'm just going to go over that really quickly since I'm doing it online. I would normally just let it dry itself. Okay. Now I'm going to need some clips for that side. It does not want to cooperate. So, and this happens because I may not have flattened out the, oh, sorry, I'm just grabbing clips here, wherever I can find them. It may not have been flat enough when I put it together. I might have needed to actually flattened it out a little bit more. This side is looking not bad. It also needs to be held in place. Okay, so now they're stuck together. I'm going to put a second round of glossy accents. On here. Sorry, I'm out of camera. Just building a little bead across the top. To fill in that gap so that I don't feel any of the metal. Now for some reason that still wants to stick out, so I am going to force it back. There we go. Alrighty, so that should dry to leave a bead so I don't hurt myself on the edges. Okay, so we're going to let that dry, maybe give it a bit of heat. Put away my glossy accents. Put away my 450 glue. And just heat dry this. And just thought of something and put the right on top of adhesive. That's not a good plan because that will dry out the adhesive. So there we go. Okay, so I have returned the signature into the book now, and this is what it looks like. Some of these tissues are protecting some work. There we go. I still will have to decorate it. I'm just going to rethread the back of my book. I decided not to punch holes because with fabric I don't know how successful that would be. So I'm just going to rethread the back of my journal here. Now I've got to remember where the holes are. That's the tricky part. I think there might be a hole actually underneath there, which is interesting. Alrighty. So 1, 2, 3. Alrighty. So I'm going to have to create a new set of holes right here because there is a tiny hole. There we go. So I'm just going to poke a hole. Through all the cardstock on this side and on this side. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing. Just go see where the hole is on this side. And on this side. Make sure you don't get your finger there. Alright. So now, I'm going from bottom to top and lacing. So I want to make sure my laces are even. And your laces are going to be as long as your expandable is. I have lots of extra lacing because I don't know how big it's going to get. Alright, now I'm going to crisscross. I'm crisscrossing up to the top. There we go. So my next hole is, I need to see it, right here. Oh, wrong one. Wrong side. It's very good if you are on the right side. Okay. So I'm crossing over to the other side. There we go. So I'm crossing to this side. And I just need to see where my hole is. There it is. Okay, so there's one cross. But I actually think I want to go over top. So let's see if I can get out again. There we go. So I'm going to go in from the top. There we go. Crossing, so there. side. So this is going to go to this side. Whoops, again, I want to go out from the inside. Whoops. Okay, so that didn't work. Somehow I got crossed. This is probably the most difficult part of this whole process. Just getting the laces and remembering that I want to come from the inside out, or the outside in, not the inside out. Alrighty. Do that again. Get all the words with me. Alright. So I'm going to go in. There we go. So then that goes there, that goes there. And this one has to go here. So I'm going to go inside on that one too. There we go. And then inside on this one. Hopefully that's going to work. Looks good. So let's see what happens when I do my lacing from the other side. Yeah, maybe. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to put that lacing over there. So this lacing has to go in this side, through the hole, crisscrossing, and this side through the hole from the outside, crisscrossing, and this side from the hole, crisscrossing, and then where's the hole I just made? There we go. This side from the hole, crisscrossing. And I think my lengths are, I must have adjusted my lengths too much here. So I'm going to mess with this because it needs to come out equally. Because that's just the kind of person I am. Okay. Now everybody should go up equally. There we go. Equally, equally, equally. Okay. And there we have my binding. And I could put washi tape or something down that binding. I haven't really decided how I'm going to finish off that side yet. This is my extra strings for when I expand. Just going to tuck that in there for now. And there is the finished journal cover. Alright, so from there, my decorating is going to be when I'm in the mood and I have something I want to say. I don't know what that is right now, so I am not going to demonstrate how I would decorate on top of this. Suffice it to know that it will definitely have some sort of a title, or as most of my journals do, so I'll show you a couple of those. So this is a journal cover that you may have seen recently. I did this as a media workshop, online scrap your scraps thing. And then I just had some paper that said the Book of Me, which was really awesome because it fit this book well. And I just had just created this particular outside. And then I had another journal that I created that was a little more fanciful. So it has this, you can't see the signatures on the inside or on either of these. This one you can't see the signatures, but you can see the strapping mechanism. So, and this one just had little fun tags and some, I put some three-dimensional media on there as well, and some words: freedom, create, do it with passion. And on the back there, it's kind of crunchy with crackle paste and ink. And this flower pattern around the outside is washi tape. And I whitewashed the paper that was underneath just to kind of give it a base. So you can see there are many different ways to finish the front of your journals. You can also buy journals that are finished for you. So this is one that is a junk journal that has its own little mini journals and little signatures, and all the signatures have their own cover on them. And then, let's see, what else do I have? And then I have, the finite journals that are expandable to a certain point, but then as you can see, they get quite big, and I have more than half a book that I still need to do in here. And then I just decorated this. This is my backgrounds book. I usually rip stuff out of here to use in other projects. So this book, eventually, I will use up all of the all of the things I've created in here. And then I'll have some blank pages I can work with again, but I can't get much bigger than this at the moment. And this has all kinds of mixed media on it and different ways I've finished the edges of my papers. So it's a little funkier. So there you go. So these are some things that I can show you and what I've started with today. Who knows where this will go? It may go in any of these directions. Anyway, thank you for joining in. I hope you have yourself a great weekend, and I will see you next Thursday. Bye.